Hi! For today's video, I would like us to focus on Reverb. I've had some comments and feedback asking me which plugin I was using or which preset I was using while I was preparing this video. So we're going to have a look at Valhalla Supermassive. They didn't ask me to do this video. I just think it's a very accessible plugin and it's free, so everyone can download it and start using it right away. For this little demo, I've prepared a track. We're going to have a look at the different aspects of the plugin and how we can use it to enhance our tracks and create a soundscape in which our sound is going to evolve in. So let's have a look. So here we have the track that I made recently. You can find the link in the description. We're going to have the bass line for the Moog Model 32 in yellow. Just underneath we have some little accents that I added, and we have actually a duplicate right underneath, and I'll explain why later on. Then in blue we have the Syntrx. It's going to play a lead arpeggio, and then underneath we have some vocals, a dialogue. I was able to recuperate from a dictaphone that I bought 2 years ago, and it came with a bunch of cassettes with recordings on them, so I was able to use them for this track. If we go up back to our Moog Model 32, we have the Valhalla Supermassive right here, and I've used a preset, and I'm going to take it here. This is the preset. So when you take the presets, you go to Reverb, Z Massive, We Are Stardust here. Is going to come like this, but as you can see, there are some little changes I made. I like this preset because it sounds really great for making ambient, and I just like this title. It makes me think of Carl Sagan, and I like space, so this is perfect for me. So in this preset there are a couple of things that I tweaked. I changed the mix, I put it to 50. I also changed the width, and I've changed the delay as well, because well, when there is a lot of delay, it tends to be a little bit muddy and the sound isn't that clear. I've also changed the density and the feedback. So let's have a listen without. Okay, in solo, like this. So we have a nice little tremolo from the LFO on the Moog Model 32. And now I'm going to put the same track, the same part with the preset. And it goes on and on. So as you can hear, the tremolo is gone. It's, like I said, it's nice to make some drones and to have those long reverbs, but here I wanted to have a little bit more of detail from that sound. So now we're going to have a listen with the changes I made, and there are not so many. So with this one, I was able to preserve the tremolo effect, but we also have that nice reverb in the background. Let's have a look at the other tracks. So I'm going to close this, and then we're going to go to this one. So this is interesting because I did a couple of things just to add a little accents and just a little something to this one. And I've also used Valhalla, but I've used it here in my send unit. So I'm going to go in my send unit. It's right here, as you can see. And it's this one. So for this one, I've used another preset, and it's not a reverb actually, but it's a delay, because you're able to use some delays as well in Valhalla. So you can find them here. You have all those echoes, and they create very nice delays actually. I've used it one on the synth and then Morse code here. So let's see, I didn't remember if I made some additional changes to this one, but I think so. Let's have a look. So I'm going to load Valhalla right here. And it's quite interesting because in Cubase, Valhalla is not underneath reverb or delay or modulation, but underneath others. So I think it's a nice toolbox actually with a lot of things to tweak in. Let's have a listen without, and then we'll have a listen with the effect. And so this one, as you can see, is playing just on one side, and then with the effect. So it's quite nice because it's making like a little ping pong effect. So why did I duplicate this part here and put another one underneath? I used to do something with my tracks when I started using Cubase because I didn't have a lot of VSTs. And when I wanted to create some chorus on vocals or even synthesizer parts or whatever, I used to do this. So I duplicated my track, put one on the right side and the other one on the left side. And then one of those I would put a delay on them. So as you can see here, there's a little delay on the tracks. And it's quite funny, I was looking at an interview of Jean-Michel Jarre, and he was explaining that he used to do the same thing when there weren't any DAWs or when he wasn't using the computers back then. So it's quite interesting actually. But that's a nice little effect that you can apply as well. So let's have a listen. So since we have a delay on the second one, it's creating a nice little, sound that's going from left to right. It's quite interesting. Let's have a listen here. So that's a nice effect we can use as well on our tracks. And for this one, I specifically used, I didn't use any extra reverb on it because I wanted to have this sounds just a little bit closer to us in order to enhance the layers of the track. So when we create our patches, we create layers, and I think it's interesting to also do this in the composition, to have different layers. So now let's go to the Syntrx. So here you can see the Valhalla, I have it 2 times here. So the one time I'm using that delay as well. It's just a little bit tweaked, but not too much. But it's the same delay that I used in the previous track we just saw. And then I've added just a little bit of reverb. So you see the mix is on 20. It's just a little bit, just to push the sound a bit further. Like I said, it's about creating layers. So this layer is just a bit further. So let's have a listen to this layer without any effects. So you may hear a little bit of reverb, but that's actually the reverb, the string reverb of the Syntrx. I think it has a specific sound and very organic sound, so I used just a little bit of spring reverb on the Syntrx. So now let's have a listen to this track, but with a delay. I just love how the sound is traveling from left to right, and it instantly opens everything. So let's see how the reverb is helping here. I'm just going to play the same thing but without the delay and put the reverb on, and then we'll play both of them together afterwards. And a very reverb at the end. So let's hear both of them together. I like how they are working together. So the reverb is just pushing that delay a bit further. Now let's have a listen at the vocals. So I have the vocals right here, and I'm going to isolate them. So this one first.
For whatever it is, the defect is something that's usable. Typically we like to send everything back if we can, because we want to get the message to the vendors that
So this is the track with the effects. I'm going to do this so that we can have a listen without any effects.
I mean, for whatever it is, the defect is something that's usable. Typically we like to send everything back if we can, because we want to get the message to the vendors that it's not acceptable to ship that.
So it's very close actually, because I presume that the dictaphone was close to anyone that was there in that room, so it's very close, but I wanted to push it just back a little, and I wanted to have that kind of effect that you have in that interview in Blade Runner actually. So that's why I used the Valhalla here. So here, if we have a look at Valhalla, the mix is very low, so the reverb is very low on that part actually. So I wanted to keep it close, but like imagine that it's going on in a bigger room actually, to create a little bit of mystery. I also used this VST, it's called Decapitator, just to, you know, have a kind of a lo-fi vibe to the dictaphone, but which wasn't necessary because it was already recorded on a dictaphone, but I just wanted to change the sound just a little bit.
I mean, for whatever it is, the defect is something that's usable. Typically we like to send everything back if we...
So I wanted to saturate the sound a little bit, because actually the dictaphone did a great job and the sound was very clear, but I wanted to saturate it a little bit and make it a little bit more dirty. And what I also did on this track is that I added some accents. So I duplicated my track. I'm going to take this part, and I wanted to play with that soundscape we're in and play with the layers. So what I did, I duplicated this track, put one underneath, and I took some parts of the dialogue, but I pushed the reverb. So on this one we have the C-beams, another reference to Blade Runner, but we have the C-beams here, and it's pushing the sound just a little bit further and creating a nice stereo effect, because the track that we have here, if I go up, as you can see, it's more panned to the left side, and with this one I wanted to have a nice stereo effect. So let's have a listen.
And then we'll return the bad ones.
You see? So it's pushing everything. Let's have another listen here.
Tell them that something was wrong, but we were forced to use it.
So I think it's quite nice to have those little accents, like a bit of mystery unraveling. And then we have in orange, that's the second person in that dialogue. And what I did here is that I created this extra track, because I wanted to keep this dialogue center actually.
You're reimbursed.
Like this.
You're reimbursed. Mm-hmm.
And then what I also did with the dialogue at the end of the track, it's here. So we had our dialogue that was slightly bent to the left side, and then I just copied this one and put it center.
Yeah, so, you know, I always look at it as how, like for me, a good example would be, I got 2 kids. How many times would I think it'd be acceptable for the nurse at the hospital to drop one of the babies? That would be their AQL. Or
quite interesting dialogue, actually. Okay, so if we zoom out, up like this. So now let's have a little listen to the intro. And like I said, if you haven't listened to the track, you can do it by using the link in the description.
I mean, for whatever it is, the defect is something that's usable. Typically, we like to send everything back if we can, because we want to get the message to the vendors that it's not acceptable to ship that. If they send it at a point where we don't have any other alternative but to use it.
So here you can hear the different layers, you know. So you have that little click thumping sound that's very close, and then the dialogue just a bit further. And if I go further in my track here,
to buy defects. We don't like to do that. But if you're buying a 5,000 resistors and they say that it's 0.1% or something AQL, that means that what does AQL mean? Acceptable quality level.
and what I like here is just this part. I like this here because it's opening everything. The sound is opening as well from the Syntrx, and it helps, it pushes everything to that open space. I think it's very nice here.
Or something AQL, that means that what does AQL mean? Acceptable quality level.
And then we have the track that's going on with it. I hope it was interesting for you to see how I created this track. Let me know what you think about it. So if you would like me to cover other aspects or other plugins, let me know. And we'll see each other in the next one. See you. Bye.